I'm Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book, and in this video we're going to be debriefing a little bit from all the Comic-Con activities and events that happened. What we're going to do here is cover our list of the top 5 DC-related announcements from Comic-Con. So we got quite a bit of good stuff coming out from DC. These are the ones we're most excited about. So let's get started right away with number 5, and that is the announcement that we have a title now for the Green Lantern movie that's part of the DC Cinematic Universe, or the DC Extended Universe now as it's being called. So the title is Green Lantern Corps. So a title doesn't always mean a lot, but here that title is actually pretty significant because it sends a signal about what's going to actually be happening with this, and it's not just going to be a Hal Jordan vehicle. We're going to be getting some multiple Green Lanterns and taking maybe more of an epic take on it. So Jason, what do you make of Green Lantern Corps?
Well, I think that one of the great things about Green Lantern is the outer space connection. So making it Green Lantern Corps is a really cool idea. But that being said, I think it's a reaction to how poorly the Ryan Reynolds movie did. And in a way, it's kind of too bad because if Hal Jordan is not really a main character in the movie, Hal Jordan's a great character as long as it's written well and acted well and directed well. So, we'll see what happens. But it's an interesting idea. I still kind of think it's a little soon for a Green Lantern movie after all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, it will be 2020 when this is actually coming out. So by then, it might feel okay.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think it's smart to take Green Lantern, make it the Corps, and put it pretty securely in outer space, kind of sci-fi territory. I think that just gives more room for everything else to breathe that's going to be going on in the DCEU.
Yeah, that's good. True. Yeah.
And I think this way you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, because you can bring Hal Jordan and have that character. You don't need to abandon Hal Jordan, but you don't need to have it all riding on Hal Jordan. You can bring Jon Stewart in. I'm a fan of the Jon Stewart character. I think it brings some diversity and some other things. And this way you don't have to go in all on Jon Stewart or go all in on Hal Jordan. You can have both. You can even have some others if you want. And then also have all the alien Green Lanterns and maybe develop them a little bit more fully. So yeah, I think this is a good call. It makes sense. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it could be. It has a lot of potential.
Yeah. Some people thought we might get a casting announcement because Chris Pine is rumored for possibly Hal Jordan, but there's also Chris Pine rumors about Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman, and there's these rumors about who might be playing Jon Stewart. So we haven't heard that yet, but we'll have to look. We still have some time.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So next up, we have a slate of new Superman books. So Jason and I are both Superman fans, so we're excited now that there's going to be some new Superman offerings. We've got Neil Adams doing a miniseries of 6 issues called Coming of the Supermen, starting in November. We've got Max Landis putting together a team of artists, and they're going to be doing some stories called Superman American Alien. This is going to be 7 issues, also starting in November. And that one kind of takes a look at Clark Kent and a lot of stories that are related to his life that are not necessarily Superman stories, maybe more Clark Kent stories. And then the great Dan Jurgens is coming with Superman, Lois, and Clark, and this is an ongoing series that picks up after Convergence, because Convergence Superman was so well received. We had Lois, we had the baby being born, and then we had them going back to Crisis on Infinite Earths to kind of save the day. So this is going to pick up with the family Superman going Lois and Clark. So exciting things there. What do you make of that list?
Well, the Neil Adams one is probably not going to be great. I imagine because there was a Batman one similar, Batman Odyssey, and it was just kind of a mess. He's still a good artist and everything, but he's not always the best writer. Jack Kirby had that going on too, and that happens to a lot of good creators later in their career. I think to me the most interesting one is the second one. I like kind of stories in Superman's youth, and I think Max Landis is could be a really good writer for comics. He did a good job with the movie Chronicle. And the last one, with me, it depends who's drawing it, because I did like the Convergence issues taking place with those characters. But as far as kind of an ongoing, I don't know how much I would like it.
Yeah, that last one starts in October. I think you're right. I'm also most excited about the Max Landis Superman American Alien. I kind of like short stories. I think they can work really well in the comic form. I also like some of the artists that they have lined up. One that really stuck out to me was Jai Lee, who I really liked the art from the first kind of run on Batman Superman.
Yeah,
I think it's a really cool style. And I think it could work well in kind of a short story type of setting.
Yeah, for sure.
Some good stuff there. I agree also with Neil Adams. He's kind of a legend, but the stuff that I've read of his is definitely a mixed bag. So we'll see what he does. All right, next up we've got a crossover DC pairing up with IDW, and they right now have a Star Trek Green Lantern kind of crossover going on.
Hmm.
Next up they have a Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. I'm a big fan of both of these series, so I'm excited to see how they might come together. This one I'm sort of excited about just in a fun sense. I don't think it's going to be like high
Yeah.
art or literature, but I think it might be fun. It's 6 issues starting in November, and Krang has somehow because in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles you have different dimensions. So Krang transports the turtles to a Gotham dimension, and then they're in there and they interact with Batman somehow. It's going to be written by James Tynion the
Right.
fourth with art by Freddie E. Williams the second. So what do you think of that?
For me, it's all about the tone. I almost think the Ninja Turtles would work better with like a crossover with the Batman '66. Where it's like the Batman with a little more campier and whatnot. I think it would be, to me, that's a real good combo. For me, when I seen them in shots together, it looks kind of silly. But I'll definitely check it out because it's something that I like a crossover I probably never thought would happen.
Yeah, I hope that they don't take it too seriously because this one I think should just be fun, and hopefully they go that way with it. Next up is an announcement that Jeff Johns made at Comic Con. He was talking about the Dark Side War, and he announced some tie-ins called Justice League: Gods and Men. This is in October, and there's going to be, I think it's 7 issues, 7 tie-ins, and each of them focuses on a different character. So you've got the main ones like Batman, Superman. You've also got a Lex Luthor, Flash, and some others. So what do you think of these tie-ins kind of coming in with Dark Side War?
Well, I think it sounds pretty cool, but to me it's a little soon. I understand they're announcing things and getting people excited, but we're only at the second issue, I believe, this week of the current Darkseid storyline. So I'd kind of like to see how that goes before I show interest in something that's following it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, so we've both talked about how the Dark Side War seems like it's off to a great start. It seems like it could be pretty epic, intense, and really well put together. But we
Hmm.
don't really know that yet for sure. We're not very far into it. So
Yeah.
I have high hopes for Dark Side War, in which case I'd be very excited about some of these tie-ins. It looks like the Superman Lex Luthor tie-ins might be a really kind of interesting story. It could be Superman getting angry and becoming kind of the villain again, which has happened quite a lot, especially since like the New 52.
Yeah.
But I think it could be handled well. So I'm tentatively optimistic about these, but you're right. We'll have to see. We have a few more months of Dark Side War to go before we get to October, so we'll see where we are at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and now the number one announcement that's related to DC properties is actually a Warner Brothers announcement. The Batman standalone movie, co-written by Ben Affleck with Jeff Johns. So Jeff Johns coming over with all of his comic book knowledge and expertise, working with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck, who's a huge Batman fan, even before he got cast as Batman, he's has a Batcave in his house and has huge background loving the character. They are co-writing the movie. Ben Affleck is going to be directing it. So people speculated about this, and now it's confirmed. We're probably guessing about a 2018, maybe an early 2019 release date. So what do you think about this film?
I think it's got a lot of potential. It's probably one of the reasons he took the gig because he'd already been, getting Academy Awards and things like that and a lot of critical acclaim for the movies he's directed. So for me, it's all about tone and timeline with this movie. Like, is it just going to be Batman in a really well-directed crime movie? Because we kind of have seen some of that in the Nolan films, but maybe they can go completely into that zone and less of the kind of supervillain route. And then as well, is it going to take place before we've seen him in this time in Batman and Superman and Justice League? Because are we going to get an older Batman? Are we going to get Batman younger and showing how it all came to be? So obviously I don't think it's going to try and retread a lot of things that were done in the Nolan films. So it's really interesting. They could go a lot of ways with it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot open to them, but I really have a lot of faith in the team. Both of those people coming together, I think, have good knowledge of Batman. I think they know how to. Ben Affleck definitely knows how to put a good film together. So I'm excited about it. He did say, you're right, in a recent interview, he said part of the reason he took the role was so that he could use Batman v Superman to learn about how to make a big budget action movie, like $200 million type movie.
Gotcha.
And so I think he had this kind of career goal of actually taking those reins, and I think Warner Brothers knew that that's a good investment for them.
Hmm.
Because yeah, the last 5-7 years, he's really put out some good films that he was the helm of.
Hmm.
So yeah, to me, what you mentioned is my biggest question too, which is this going to be a prequel to Batman v Superman, or is it going to be following Batman after Batman v Superman? I think it could really go either way.
Yeah.
So it'll be excited to see, but I'm very excited about just the movie existing and another installment in the DC extended universe. So I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, DC definitely surprised me with a lot of the announcements at Comic Con this year, and I think it's about time.
Yeah. All right. Great. Well, the big thing was also the trailers and the footage that they showed, so we're going to cover that in another video. So stick around for that.